G'day golfers. Early release. What is it? How's it affecting your golf game? And what can we do to get rid of it? It is such a prevalent problem with high handicappers. In fact, just by watching someone swing a golf club from afar, we can pretty much tell what their handicap is based on how well they're hinging and releasing through impact. It is costing us distance, it's costing us the ability to compress the golf ball and make good contact. There are ways that we can get rid of it. It's all about understanding what's causing it. And we've got a great drill to round out today's lesson that's really going to help you get rid of that early release forever. I'm Glen. Welcome to Aussie Golf Pros, where we help you make the most of your game. So what is release? Well, we use the term release in golf coaching to describe where a player comes into the downswing position, has hinged or lagged the golf club, and then releases the club through impact. It is very much a throwing type motion. And if a player isn't achieving that release at the right time or isn't achieving any at all, then they really are making it more difficult for them to generate power easily and to strike the ball cleanly. So early release is when the player gets to the top of the backswing, and then instead of coming down here and still having some lag or some hinge, then the player throws the club that way and we get that early release. So the club has released, we get this straight line from arm into club, and then they're just trying to muscle through the ball and not really achieving much clubhead speed. And there's a lot of effort involved there too. So we definitely want to release at the right time, which is through that impact area. If we release too early, then we expend too much energy too early and we're actually slowing down by the time we get to the ball. Some strong players still manage to hit the ball a long way doing that, but it's all muscle and they're not achieving their full potential either. So what we actually want to happen is we want the club to be lagged behind the rest of the body and behind the arms, and then releasing through impact there, and that helps us to achieve some high clubhead speeds with a lot less effort. So let's talk first about the reasons why it's so difficult for some players to achieve that late release. So number one is a weak grip. If a player has a weak grip, specifically with the top hand, so that means the wrist is to the side, the thumb might be on top, and in what we might call a one knuckle grip, and that weak grip, as opposed to a stronger grip where the wrist is on top, that weak grip can be a real precursor towards early releasing. How? Well, basically what happens is the weak grip tends to promote an open club face. So we'll see a few shots go to the open side for that player with the weak grip. But then if they think about it, then they can early release to try to square that club face up earlier, and they can get it back on the target at the expense of a lot of clubhead speed and a lot of power. So we get this type of motion here where we scoop it up in the air. It might go straight, but it's going to go high and weak. And if you listened there, then you would have heard me hit the grass first and then the ball. And there's that scooping action. So released very early, presented the club into the golf ball at the wrong angle, not really achieving much compression, in fact none at all. Turf first, then the ball, and we get that high weak flight. So weak grip can definitely make it difficult for us to achieve lag. And if that player does lag and release late, then they're very easy going to leave that club face open. Another precursor to early release is collapsing and overswinging. So that collapse might be the elbows. If we get this overswing here, then that player is very likely to then throw that club out again early releasing, or that collapsing might be the wrist. The arm might be extended, but there's a lot of hinge going on here and collapsed here, and then that player will automatically, more often than not, throw that club out again and early release. Now there are some examples. John Daly is the most well-known example of that. There's a big overswing, and he's always managed to still release very late into the golf ball. But for most golfers, overswinging, collapsing, either in the elbows or in the wrists, is going to create some issues with that early release. And number three is effort, tension. We're going to achieve good timing with the release through being much more relaxed. It's not something you can force. You can't say, right, I'm going to release late, I'm going to maintain that angle, I'm going to really force it here, and then I'm going to release late. Doesn't work that way. That tension is actually going to cause us to release early, or if we do manage to hang on, we're just going to leave the club face way open, and the right hand is going to hit a lot of shots way off to the right hand side. left-hander will hit it to the left. So they're your three main causes: weak grip, overswing and collapsing, or tension. And that tension means that there's going to be a lot of effort with that trail arm and shoulder, throwing that club down there and that early release there. We want to get rid of that. The grip needs to be stronger. There's no doubt about that. The weak grip for the majority of golfers is going to make it very difficult for you to achieve lag and late release into the shot. So by stronger grip, I mean getting that wrist on top, getting your lead wrist, your glove hand on top of the club. That helps us to get it into a stronger, more powerful position, and you should be able to see a couple of knuckles on that top hand. You would have heard me say that before. Another good indicator is the V formed by your thumbs and forefingers. They're running up to your trail shoulder there. So weak is there, and getting into a stronger position. We don't want it too strong, we don't want to be able to see all of the knuckles there, but we want it strong enough that we can allow that club to lag behind without having to try really hard to square up the club face and get that scooping action. So what do we want to feel? Well, we want to feel mobility. We really want to make sure that the wrists are mobile. So throw in some waggles. That's how we're going to achieve that late release, is we're going to be relaxed, we're going to be mobile in the wrists, and just by hitting a few shorter shots and really loosening that up, it's not sloppy, but it is mobile. It doesn't mean that you're letting go of the golf club. The grip itself is still firm enough to hold the golf club. For me, it's around about a 3 or a 4 out of 10 grip pressure, but the wrists need to be really mobile. And I want you to feel like that is that throwing motion. So if you early release with a throw, that means that you're, whoops, that's exactly what can happen. We can mishit it. We are going to release the hand and wrist too early, and there's no power there whatsoever because it needs to become last. So what we want is a late release. That means turning the body and actually hinging the wrist in the takeaway, and then there's much easier speed to be generated by releasing later. I want you to hit some shots allowing the hinge or that lag to increase on the way down. So just maybe a little shorter swing, just maybe hitting it 50, 60, 100 yards. And if I just do that in slow motion, then we come back here and we're actually hinging on the way down. So we're increasing that hinge position, increasing that lag on the way down so that we can really feel the club being left behind. So there's a lot of easy club head speed to be had there. Hit the grass after the golf ball, and it's all because the release is a lot later. So the wrists need to be really, really mobile. Now that swing a little bit longer, but use the same principles. So stronger grip, very mobile with the wrists, and increasing hinge on the way down, but we're going to do it with a longer swing this time. And very easy to hit the grass after the golf ball because the release is late. You can see there, if I slow that down, then it really is increasing the hinge on the way down. What we see with players at early release is they can't do that and they start the club out that way. Or even if they get to here, they're not increasing hinge and then they release too early in this position. So using a tour stick, we've got a great drill to really help you to promote that late release and get those wrists more mobile. We want to get out of the habit of producing a lot of power and effort from the arms and the shoulders. Let's get the power coming from mobile wrists, active wrists. So set up, I'm going to have the tour stick a few inches behind you here so that it's in the way, in the backswing. So if we swing back too far with the arms, we're going to hit the tour stick. Now we want it into position here where we can still get the club going back, so we still get some hinge. This is what we're going to do here, is we're going to get those wrists nice and active, but the arm movement is limited. And then we're just going to hit some shots. You're going to hit it as far as you can, but with making sure that those wrists are nice and mobile and not too much tension. And I don't care how long the follow through is, as long as we're limited with that backswing and we're getting plenty of hinge with those wrists there. If we slow that down, we can see that there's a lot of hinge, not a lot of arm motion, and we have to really make sure that the rest of the body is working in sequence through the shot and we're getting into the habit of that late release. And the other thing that you're going to see there is that the ball comes out a lot lower. So why do you early release? Is it one of those three factors, or is it something different? There are several causes. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to get an idea of what the most common cause for early release is amongst our viewers. As we like to do now, we've popped some lesson notes in the description below in a downloadable PDF format, so you can take those notes to the range with you. You can download it right to your phone or tablet, or you can print it off and take it with you to practice. Now there's another great drill that's really going to help you if you're one of those players that really puts a lot of effort in and your kinetic chain's upside down. You're throwing it and then trying to transfer your weight. So pop up in the corner here. That drill is really going to help you with that kinetic chain and smooth things out so you can really get the sequence of the downswing spot on. We look forward to your company next week. Until then, are you the best golfer you can be?